Man alive, this film was so bad. But at the same time now, it was kind of entertaining in the way I don't think the film intended. Here's my view of Blackadder. Blackadder. So Blackadder is the new DC Dwayne Johnson film which follows him become, if you guessed it already, Blackadder. And then basically when Blackadder is out and about, the Justice Society have to come and try and take him down. But in doing so, they realise that he has to rise to become the hero and save the day. So Blackadder has to become the hero in the end. No one saw that coming whatsoever. And that's basically my version of the plot for Blackadder. Because like I said before, oh my god, this film is awful. Like, it's just, I don't even know what to say. It's so bad. Honestly, it's one of the worst films of the year. And at the same time, though, it's just a nonsensical, maddening mishmash of all these different things happening. And none of it works. And it's just, it's atrocious, I'm not going to lie. But I'm smiling and I'm quite enjoying talking about this film because it was actually kind of entertaining to watch. And not in the way the film wanted it to be, by the way. I wasn't laughing with the film, I was laughing at the movie. That's how bad it was. Honestly, I haven't had this good of a time watching a movie since, probably Uncharted. I remember laughing quite a lot on Uncharted as well, because that was truly awful as well. But the thing is, like, Blackadder, I don't have a clue what happened. Like, the whole film feels rushed, and it feels like they tried to shoehorn it out there because, from what I've heard, this film has been like 16 years in the making, and then you watch it, and I'm not kidding here, it feels like it was made yesterday. It feels like Dwayne Johnson, the director, got together, and a couple of mates as well, like Pierce Brosnan and the actor who played the Justice Society. And it feels like they all got together and Dwayne Johnson was like, let's make a DC film and let's make it as cool as possible with all those, classic one-liners. But what actually happens is everything in the film comes across as just dead corny, dead cheesy, and so dull as well. Honestly, the writing in this film, the dialogue in the film, is dialogue that makes George Lucas's writing in the prequels look genius, look like Shakespeare. And the direction of the film as well is so dull that it feels like a slug slowly moving up a log and taking its time. I don't even know what it was, really. I've seen the film the full way through, and I still don't know what Blackadder's power is. Like, it's meant to be an origin story for Blackadder, and I was sitting there going, okay, what's Blackadder's power? Can he fire electricity? Is that it? Well, is he the Emperor from Star Wars, then? I'm not kidding. Like, I don't know what his power is, and at the same time, though, the film does have a couple of little perks thrown in there. It's not, there's a lot of effort put into the movie, and at the same time, though, there's some fun cameos in there from famous actors, which I kind of enjoyed watching, and I like the post-credit scene, which everyone's been talking now, because the only reason I really like the post-credit scene isn't because of the person who shows up, I'm not going to say in case you don't know, it's because of the musical theme there, which is from one of my favourite composers, and so when the musical theme happened, I was like, ooh, look at that, but with the exception of those two things, like the acts that pop up throughout the film, and also the post-credit scene, and I suppose the people that play the Justice Society as well, although they felt like they needed to be in a different movie, with the exception of those things, the rest of the film is just a monstrosity. It's a noisy monstrosity. It's a loud comic book movie where there's smash bang things happening and there's always big explosions and people literally going through buildings. Like, there's not one point in the film when Blackadder actually uses a door. He's always crashing through a building, and I'm just going, I'm sorry, what? And Blackadder is not a grounded superhero whatsoever, and I mean that literally. I think there's about 5 instances in the film when he actually walks on the ground. Honestly, he's just floating in the air through most of the movie, and I'm like, what? What's his power? So he can fire electricity and float in the air, for as long as he wants. cool. Why should I care about any of that? With the majority of the superheroes in the DC universe, I'm interested in them. I'm interested in Superman, Aquaman, The Flash, Batman. Or look at some of like the non-superhero DCU characters right now. You know, you've got the Joker, you've got Harley Quinn. I don't really find the Joker in this version of DC that interesting. Actually, I don't really find Jared Leto's Joker that interesting. But still, you've got Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, you've got Peacemaker, you've got Bloodsport, you've got, you know, quite a lot of interesting characters there in films like The Suicide Squad. Not the first Suicide Squad movie, the second Suicide Squad film. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. You have all of these relatively interesting characters in other DC movies, but in this film, none of the characters are interesting. In fact, the only interesting character is Dr. Fate, played by Pierce Brosnan. And the only reason he's interesting is because he's played by Pierce Brosnan. If it was played by anyone else, I wouldn't have liked that character. Honestly, every single time Pierce Brosnan's on screen, he's trying to add some flavour to the movie, and like, there's a lot of people that say to him, oh, well, that's got to be fate then. I'm like, oh my god, stop saying that. I swear that a variation of that line is said about 50 times throughout the film. You know, just there'll be a character like Hawkman, I don't know his name, I think it's Hawkman, or even The Rock as Black Adam will be talking and saying, well, that's got to be fate then. And it's like, just stop saying that. I get the point that his name's Dr. Fate. I get the point that he can see things coming in the future. He knows what's going to happen. I get all that. But we don't need to keep saying, you know, oh my god, it's going to be fate in front of him. We don't need to keep saying that. And Pierce Brosnan tries his best, and I like watching him in the film simply because it's Pierce Brosnan. And I enjoyed him as Bond. He's probably my least favourite Bond, with the exception of George Lazenby. But still, he's probably my least favourite Bond. But at the same time, though, I enjoyed him as Bond, and I enjoyed him in this film because he tried to do something else. But there were countless moments in the movie, and I mean countless moments, when he would be in his superhero outfit, if you will, and floating midair, and it will look like something out of a video game, and not a good video game at that. And at the same time, though, Dwayne Johnson's performance is laughable in this film. I like Dwayne Johnson as a star. I don't think he's a good actor. I think he plays the same character in practically everything I've seen him be in. Granted, I haven't seen him in loads, I've got to admit, but at the same time though, I think his best performance is in the Stephen Merchant film, Fighting With My Family, because he just plays himself. He just plays a version of himself. And he's not in the film that much, and when he is in the film, it's actually quite a sweet moment in Fighting My Family. And I didn't mind him in Jungle Cruise either. He was trying his best, but when you have Emily Blunt acting, you know, opposite him in that movie, it kind of made his acting look really poor, to be honest. And also, you had people like, you know, Jesse Plemons and Paul Giamatti acting opposite him as well in Jungle Cruise, and they were just treating the scenery in the best way in that movie, and, you know, he wasn't. I like Dwayne Johnson as a star, I like him as a person, but I don't think he's a great actor. I think my feelings on Dwayne Johnson as an actor were reinforced by this movie, I've got to admit. Like, Dwayne Johnson's acting in this film consists of him raising an eyebrow, opening his eyes, or looking very angry, and occasionally, and I mean occasionally, doing little smiles towards you in the film, and delivering these one-liners which are so unforgettable and make you laugh out loud. Honestly, I was watching this film with Lewis and Oliver, which many people might know from this channel. They've been on numerous videos, like my family video, they're both on there together. I was watching this with both of them, and Lewis will often laugh at the film and thinks it's quite bad, and I was laughing with Lewis throughout the movie, but Oliver doesn't. Oliver actually has sat through many films that are bad and just accepts them for what they are. But there were quite a few moments when I turned to Oliver in the film, and even he was laughing because it was so bad. Even he was laughing because the dialogue was just that badly written. even he thought it was like laughable, and I agree with him. And like, Dwayne Johnson's acting is just, it's. I don't know what the director really wants from the film, because to be honest, I don't know if it was that much of an interesting and emotional character. Like, I don't think it's a character that he can really give an emotional performance of. Most of the film, he's just looking angry, like, just looking down at all the people he's killing, and, you know, there's a couple moments of the film as well when he has to open his eyes and that's his acting, or he has to look a bit out of breath in flashback sequences, or there's a couple of moments as well when he just has to raise an eyebrow, and I'm like, come on, give a bit more. I never felt that interested in the title character of Blackadder in the film. And I think that is down to Dwayne Johnson's acting. Dwayne Johnson, who I like as a person, not a big fan as an actor, and that was kind of forced in his performance in this movie. And also the fact that the character wasn't grounded. Quite literally, throughout the whole film, he barely ever walks on the ground. There was like, every time he did, I turned to him and went, oh my god, he's walking, he's actually walking on the ground. Blimey, like, I can't believe what I'm watching. He's walking, because most of the film, he's flowing in the air. He's flying in the air, sorry, he's floating in the air. And it's just... I don't know what they were going for with this film whatsoever. Like, the Justice Society in there as well. I don't have a clue who the Justice Society are. And I should say here, and I haven't said this already, and I should have, but I should say here, that I've never read a comic book in my life. So, I don't know, the Justice Society might be a big part of the DC comic books. And that's absolutely fine. But like I said before, I've never read a comic book in my life, so I'm just going into this film as somebody who just wants to get a good film with it. I don't care about the comic book connections whatsoever. And so, I was watching the Justice Society pop up in this movie, and I was going, right, who the hell are they? Like, I'm not really sure. And they're okay in the film, but I think they would have been better in perhaps, I don't know, like a Shazam movie. Which I think is kind of ironic, actually, because this film, you know, it actually says the word Shazam quite a lot. There's actually kind of some links there going between this movie and Shazam, and I don't really get how that's going to happen. Because, side note here, how the hell does Black Adam exist in the same universe as films like Birds of Prey, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, let's think of some other ones, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Wonder Woman 1984, Aquaman? How the hell does Black Adam exist in the same universe as those movies? I don't know. And I've seen Black Adam now, and I'm thinking to myself quite a bit, how the hell does it fit in that universe? It doesn't feel like a DC film. It feels like DC trying to copy Marvel, and I don't like that. There's a lot of one-liners which are meant to make us laugh, like Marvel do all the time, and that's one of my biggest criticisms of Marvel, is the humour, is the forced humour in those movies, because more often than not, they don't really work unless it's Guardians of the Galaxy. And at the same time, though, it feels like Black Adam is trying to copy that sort of idea. It's just, I don't really know what they were trying to do. It was like, were they trying to be different? Because they were trying to be different, they were a bit too different, to the point that it just, you know, all the other DC movies, I can see kind of fitting in the same world together. I can't really see Black Adam exist in the same world as Man of Steel, you know, Batman v Superman, any of the Suicide Squad films, and so on and so on and so on. You get the point I'm making. I just can't see it existing in this DCEU. And it's just... I don't know. Like... But anyway, going back on the Justice Society, they are not bad in the film, and all the actors are giving it their all. But they would have been better in a Shazam film, to be honest. It didn't feel like they fit in with this movie. In fact, the third act, I was kind of sitting there going, when's Black Adam coming back? Because at the moment, this feels like a Justice Society film. And I don't know who the Justice Society are. They just sound like a pseudo-version of the Justice League. Like, when we can't get the Justice League, let's get the Justice Society. I mean, I don't know. They might not be, but I don't know. I don't even know who they are, really. Like, I haven't read a comic book, and I felt that you had to have read a comic book to understand who they were, because they weren't fully explained. You know, you got some, like, little 10-second character introductions early on. I was like, okay, who's that? Oh, Hawkman? Sure, okay, Dr. Fate. They're the only two character names I know, and that's because I think I saw their names in the marketing or in the credits. I can't even remember. But get the point I'm making. Like, what the hell was the Justice Society doing in this film? And they also felt like the X-Men. Like, again, I know they're in the comic books, but for me, I haven't read a comic book, so I'm kind of watching it going, okay, that feels like it's out of an X-Men movie. Like, the house that they all live in looks like, you know, the school for gifted youngsters in the X-Men films. And then also, when their ship, you know, comes from under the ground and lifts up into the air, it looks like when the ship, you know, comes under the ground and lifts up into the air in the X-Men films. Hopefully you understand what I mean there. Their big fight with the main villain, I say the main villain, he only really comes into it, you know, half an hour towards the end of the film, but the Justice Society's main fight with the villain towards the end of the movie literally reminded me of the final battle from X-Men 3 The Last Stand, and not in a good way. I don't have fond memories watching X-Men 3. In fact, I have quite confused memories watching X-Men 3 because I never clue what was going on, and I was watching the final battle in this movie going, okay, now I've only just been introduced to the villain, and what the hell was this fight scene? Like, I don't get any of it. I don't really know what was happening. And the musical score by Lauren Balfe, might be pronouncing that person's name wrong, I apologize if I am. The musical score isn't bad, but at the same time though, it's overly repetitive, and it sounds like it's trying to be Hans Zimmer's score for Man of Steel, and it's not. I actually think Hans Zimmer's score for Man of Steel is pretty good. I don't think it's brilliant, but I think it's pretty good, particularly his Superman theme, which I don't think is as good as John Williams' Superman theme, by the way. A little hint to what I was talking about earlier in this video, but still, nonetheless, I don't think the Man of Steel score is brilliant, but it's good enough for that film. It's probably the best part of that movie, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of Man of Steel, got to admit. But at the same time, though, the score for the movie feels like it's trying to copy the score for Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel, and I'm going to be honest, it fails miserably. The score isn't bad in itself, but it was just... the same theme was used over and over again throughout the film, and I know when I did my Lord of the Rings of Power podcast review, I said that Galadriel's theme was used way too many times in that show, but I didn't mind as much there because it kind of made sense. In here, they just used the same musical theme over and over, and I'm just like, what? You know, use a different piece of music. It sounded like they used the same piece of music anyway. And maybe that just shows off the fact that the musical score isn't that memorable. They didn't have that many memorable themes. And also, there's a lot of needle drops in this film. You know, like when a song is used. And like there's one moment when Paint It Black comes on in the movie. And I literally went, why the hell are you using Paint It Black here? This is not a moment to use Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. A great song, by the way. I'm not dissing the song. What I am dissing is the way it's used in the movie. Honestly, it comes on, I'm like, what? This is really the moment to put Paint It Black in? And like... what was the music in this film? There was some really weird needle drop uses as well. Like, there's one moment, and I won't give it away what moment it is, but there's one moment when one of the last themes from the film The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is used. And The Good, the Bad, the Ugly has an amazing score by Ennio Morricone. It might be pronouncing that composer's name wrong, but it's got an amazing score by Ennio Morricone in that movie. But at the same time, though, I didn't expect one of the themes from The Good, the Bad, the Ugly to be used in this film. But it happened at one stage, and they started to use the theme, and then it just went off. I was like, oh, what's the point in that? Like, that was my feelings throughout most of the film. Just me sitting there going, what's the point in that? 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 What's the point of this film? What's the point in Black Adam? And by the way, every single time I say Black Adam in this review, I feel like I want to say Blackadder. And they're two very different things. Black Adam is an overblown monstrosity of a superhero movie. That's the film I'm talking about right now. And Blackadder is a Rowan Atkinson, Richard Curtis written comedy from what I remember. And I've only seen the 4th series Blackadder when it's set in World War One, and I thought that was a really funny piece of television. And to be honest, much better than this. But every single time I say Black Adam out loud, I feel like I'm going to say Blackadder. And they're two very different things. Not a criticism of Black Adam, I'm just saying. I don't really know why it's called Black Adam either. I understand that's the comic name, but from what I also understand, in the comics, Shazam is called Captain Marvel. That's what I've heard. That's what I guessed from the film Elvis. It's even a moment when, you know, Tom Hanks is narrating Elvis and saying the fact that Elvis is a young boy, used to be really into Captain Marvel, and it shows pictures of, you know, Shazam in the comic book. So I grasped that from the Elvis movie, and at the same time, though, because Captain Marvel, the film, had already been made with Brie Larson, and it was a Marvel product, you know, DC had to change the name of their movie to Shazam and change the name of their title character. And so I know it's a bit of a different situation there, but still, I don't think Black Adam is a particularly memorable name. Like if you said the words Black Adam to me, or if you said the name Black Adam to me more, like, you know, I wouldn't go, oh, that's DC. Well, if you said Batman to me, or if you said Superman to me, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and so on and so on and so on. If you said those names to me, I'd kind of go, oh yeah, that's DC. I know that. I'd even know that with some of like the Suicide Squad characters as well, like Peacemaker. I know that's DC. Bloodsport, I know that's DC, and you get the point I'm making. But you know, if you said Black Adam to me, I wouldn't know it was DC. And if you said the Justice Society to me, I'd either guess it was DC, but I wouldn't know for certain. You know, if that was a pub quiz question, I'd probably get it wrong. That's the point I'm making. And I just... I don't know what this film was. And also, by the way, it's directed by the same guy who made Jungle Cruise. And I detested Jungle Cruise. I thought it was so bad. And I actually thought this one was a little bit better because I had a bit more fun with it, but for the wrong reason, like what he mentioned. Like, I thought it was actually quite laughable to watch. But the thing is, though, the director who worked on this film also made Jungle Cruise. And I don't know I forgot the director's name is off the top of my head, but he is the master, and I mean the master, of making these unnecessarily long exposition scenes in films which just meander on and on and on. It happened in Jungle Cruise. I actually ended up watching a bit of Jungle Cruise last Christmas. I remember I had it on for some reason. We had it on downstairs when we were putting up the Christmas tree. What a weird... It might even be in January, but yeah, you get the point I'm making. We had Jungle Cruise on, and I remember watching certain moments going, the exposition is still going on. It's been going on for the past 10 minutes. And the same thing happens in Blackadder. The exposition in this film, or the explanation with what's been going on in the past, how Blackadder came to be, just goes on and on and on and on. They keep coming back to it and exposing new pieces of information, like Jungle Cruise did as well, which just makes you more and more confused and just makes you go, wait, what? What's the crown about? What's Entrium? I don't have a clue. I don't really care. But like, the guy who directed this in Jungle Cruise is the master, and I mean the master of unnecessarily long, dull and meandering exposition films. Honestly, it's just, yeah, he's getting better and better at it. Fingers crossed I don't have to watch another film from him anytime soon, because his exposition, the way he does all that exposition, the way he executes exposition films through his direction is really tedious. Like, it's something else, and not in a good way. And it's maddening to watch. It really is. You're watching it going, why? I don't get that, I don't get that, I don't get that. But at the same time, though, I wouldn't say you're enjoying it, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed it more like, but at the same time, though, I was entertained by it for the wrong reasons. I was laughing at it. I wasn't laughing along with it. I was laughing at the film because of the decisions it was making. The corny one-liners literally made me have verbal eye rolls. Honestly, it's an atrocity. It's definitely one of the worst films of the year. Put it in that boat with, Jurassic World Dominion, Amsterdam, Don't Worry Darling, and there's another one that I'm just forgetting on top of my head. But yeah, I'd put it in that boat, but at the same time, though, it's probably on a different deck of that boat, if you know what I mean. It's on the top deck, because even so, it's an awful movie that I have no intention of watching anytime soon. I'm glad I did in the cinema, because I had fun watching it, again, not because it was good, but because it was so bad. It was one of those situations, like, I'm not sure why this film was made. I'm not sure why the decision in this film was made. I'm not sure why this film feels so rushed. I'm not sure why this film feels so bad. But at the same time, though, I'm eating it all up because it's unbelievably awful. Like I said before, it's a nonsensical, and I mean that in every sense of the word. It's complete nonsense. It's a nonsensical, maddening mishmash. And I really don't know what the intention was with this film, whatsoever. I wish at least I could say it was okay. I can't do that. I can't even bring myself to say it was okay, like I can with, say, Wonder Woman 1984, or even Batman v Superman. I think that movie is okay. In fact, I think Batman v Superman, Dawn of Flipping Justice, looks like bloody, I don't know, Godfather compared to this. Wow. Honestly, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's a pretty awful film. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Blackadder, I'm going to say that it's a, you know what, I'm going to be mean. I'm going to say it's a 1.5 out of 10. I should say what I always say on these rants that I do, on these angry film reviews that I do. If you like the movie, that's the thing which matters most. Honestly, I'm just giving my opinion. I'm just a nobody. I'm just a sad lonely loser that likes to complain about movies every now and then. And if you like the film, that's awesome. That's what matters the most. I'm just giving out my opinion, and I can see why some people would enjoy it. In fact, I watched it in a cinema which was packed to the rim, by the way. It's not the cinema I usually go, so I watched it in a cinema which was packed to the rim, and there were people laughing at the jokes. They were laughing with the movie. I wasn't, but there wasn't people that were, and that's great, because it shows that some people were loving the film, and if you do, that's brilliant. I'm not taking that away from you whatsoever. I'm just giving my opinion, and honestly, I do feel it was a huge misstep and a huge misfire for DC. Because, like, with the exception of a couple of movies in the DC universe, like the first Suicide Squad film, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and the theatrical cut of Justice League, and Wonder Woman 1984 to a degree, although I still found that film watchable. With the exception of those movies, I pretty much enjoyed everything I've seen in the DC universe. You know, in the current DCEU. I haven't seen the Peacemaker TV show, and to be honest, I should get around to doing that, because actually, not to go into too much detail, but this film actually has links to Peacemaker. I've seen half of Peacemaker, by the way, I haven't seen the full show, but still, you know, I've enjoyed a lot in the DC universe. I enjoyed the Suicide Squad. I enjoyed the first Wonder Woman. I enjoyed Zack Snyder's Justice League. In fact, I loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. I loved Shazam, and I also weirdly enough enjoyed Aquaman, although I thought that was quite bad, but at the same time, though, it was something unique, I'll say that. And I enjoyed Birds of Prey, and there might be some other films I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but you get the point I'm making. I've enjoyed the majority of the DCE universe. So I was going into this movie, not expecting a masterpiece by any means, not expecting one of the best films of the year, just expecting something fun. And I didn't even get that, to be honest. You know, like I said before, I thought, you know, Wonder Woman 1984 was watchable. I think Batman v Superman is watchable. I even think... Actually, I don't. I don't really think the theatrical cut of Justice League is watchable. And is the theatrical cut of Justice League better than this movie? No. I will say, I think Blackadder is better than the theatrical cut of Justice League. But still, nonetheless, even some of the DC movies that I dislike, I think are watchable, like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Wonder Woman 1984. But Black Adam is unwatchable, though. I can't lie. Honestly, I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I wish I came up to cinema yesterday going, you know what, that was a blast. I don't care that it didn't make any sense. That was an absolute blast. But the fact that it didn't make any sense has got me more and more confused. And by the time that the film really felt like it found its footing, it also felt for me like it started to just completely lose its way. At that point, it felt like it was butchered up in the edit. It felt like it didn't really know what it wanted to be. I'm still not sure what Black Adam's powers are, and I've seen the movie the full way through, and I still don't understand what his powers are. I don't understand what they're going for. The direction is quite shockingly poor, to be honest, and it's just, it was just an absolute mess. That's what it was in the end. By the way, I'm going to quickly touch on some other points I forgot to mention in this video. There's some Zack Snyder tendencies in there, you know, that kind of Zack Snyder's direction comes back, you know, that sort of direction. You get in a film like 300, you also get in many of his Superman movies, which he's already directed, like Zack Snyder's Justice League. That sort of direction where it's kind of like action sequences, and there'll be a lot of slow moving in those action sequences as well, a lot of slow motion. That's kind of used in the film, but I think Zack Snyder, you know, he makes him work in his movies. To a degree, I don't think all of his movies are that good, to be honest, but I did love his direction in Zack Snyder's Justice League. It just felt mental and like, oh yeah, we're going to go full on out, and that's why I kind of loved his version of Justice League, his cut of Justice League. And there's that similar sort of direction as movie, but it's still, it doesn't work because it's Zack Snyder. I get though trying to like show a bit of homage to him perhaps, particularly with a certain cameo that pops up, which he first brought into the DCU. You know, I get that they were trying to perhaps, you know, pay some homage to him, but I just don't think it worked. And also at the same time, though, there were so many huge plot holes in the film that you can literally drive 1,000 trucks through, 15 trains, and get a whole parade through. The plot holes are that huge. It's a badly written film. The dialogue is unbelievably terrible, and it's just, it's definitely one of the worst films I've seen in the year. But I enjoy it for the wrong reasons, and hopefully you understand what I mean there. What I mean is, like, it was so bad that I kind of enjoyed it at the same time. I don't know how it got made. I don't know how this film is 16 years from what I've heard. It might even be longer than that, but 16 years in the making. I don't understand any of that. That just sounds like, what happened then? Like, it's also got a terrible performance from Dwayne Johnson, who I like as a person, and also Piers Morgan was trying his best, but every time he was in his superhero outfit, it just looked terrible. Like, every time I saw Piers Morgan in his superhero outfit, I was like, yeah, you're not actually wearing that. That looks like really badly CGI. And the CGI isn't as good as it should be. It's an overblown mess, and at the same time, though, it's really noisy. And the action never stops in the film. There's a lot of needle drops which don't really work, and the music itself is just overly repetitive and not that memorable, and it should be for DC film. I actually think that quite a lot of DC films do have memorable scores, but I can't say the same for this one. And it's really badly directed, and I don't even know what it really is. I'm not sure what this film is whatsoever. And if you enjoy it, that's awesome. That's the thing which matters the most. But for me, it was a nonsensical, maddening mishmash, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. And I mean that in the worst way possible, but at the same time, though, I was kind of entertained by it, but not in the way the film intended me to be entertained by it. It's just, it's enjoyable for the wrong reasons. And so, for that reason, I'm going to say that Blackadder, I'm going to say that it's a 1.5 out of 10 from me. Anyway, guys, what do you think of Blackadder? Please leave a comment down below. I'll know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway, guys, I won't be uploading that much over the next week because I've got quite a lot of uni work to do right now. But thank you, as always, for watching. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this video. And look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews, come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.